There it goes.
It is the same one.
For now.
For now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Woo.
Do you think, Matt, do you think that we could change that to something like Limp Bizkit or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I think it'd be great if it just was like, all right, Anyways. No, thanks for coming up, guys. This is podcast number what, Matt? It's been a while.
56.
56. Is 56 a lucky number for anyone?
No.
Lawrence Taylor, Giants back in the day.
Hey, there you go.
That was me. Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for coming up and coming and checking us out. We've been together as working partners for almost 2 years now, I think. Is that right?
February will be 2 years.
Well, that's awesome. I don't usually run these things, so I apologize if this is a little like completely out in left field and the way we do this, but I know we wanted to just kind of talk with you guys, kind of use some of the stuff that you guys are doing, or maybe just kind of get some insights so that other people that are checking us out know that, like, one, sales does work, cold calling works, and it has to be done from both sides, right? You got to be ready to sell, because I think a lot of your growth kind of was a little bit later than expected for at least the first deal, because I use it a lot in almost every pitch with guys. I'm like, look at the two differences here. I've got Chris at Red Road Networks, who's got like 5 clients in his first 4 months, and I got IntegriTech, didn't get their first deal until month 8. So, like, tell us a little bit about what that was like after you got started working with Myles. Why do you think it took as long as it did to get that first one?
I mean, really for me, probably we didn't really have much of a sales process to speak of. Myles got an appointment pretty quickly. I remember I was back home. He calls like, "Hey, I got one." It was a manufacturing company, which I love. That vertical, I can speak to it pretty well, coming from my background in the trades and stuff early on. But we met, but we didn't really have. It was just me. Like, I didn't have materials. I didn't have much for like. I didn't have my stories kind of polished and that kind of stuff, right? And I'm the techie. I'm the owner, like a lot of, I think, MSP founders are that do the sales, right?
Yeah.
I can tell some stories, but wasn't really a formal process or an approach to things, and I was more reactive to it. So we went through that, and it wasn't really the right time. I mean, that company was in the middle of some disruption and did some C-suite changes and different things. I think they ended up getting bought out at the end of it. But it showed us that the opportunities are out there. That was a big eye-opener, right? Because we had 0 at-bats for ourselves other than just referrals and things that were happening before. So this was that beginning of intentionality. And then, that 8-month, like Alan and I had dedicated, like, we're going to do this for a year. And, to move a needle in anything, we don't expect overnight success. We come from a corporate environment where, to get anything done, it's a runway, at that scale. So it's not unfamiliar territory for us to have to wait for things and be patient. I think that's a good quality. Obviously, you want to see results, but we ran through several opportunities. I think the first year Myles had gotten us, when we wrapped our first year, we had like 43 appointments or something that he had created for us,
like
which was astronomical compared to the year before.
Yeah.
And to the point, and I've said this a lot, but told Alan we're getting, month 6, 7, not closing anything, and I'm like, dude, if there's
I
an
think
issue
if I
here,
remember,
I'm
we
the
might have
problem.
even talked, and you were telling me, you're like, I'm getting nervous, Sam.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, but not necessarily nervous for your sake. Like, you're fulfilling your responsibility. Like, your job is to get us out in the market, be the megaphone, get us the appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, that's on me when I show up to impress and to bring it across the finish line. We both work the follow-ups and different things, but I told Alan, if we don't close something, I am your problem. Fire me and keep Myles and find somebody else to fill my shoes. And I'll stand behind that 100%. It took me a long time to figure out what that process should look like. And we're still refining it. We learned a lot. I actually asked Myles early. I'm like, dude, what am I doing wrong? Like, is there other MSPs
I
can
remember
talk
that.
to?
Yeah, because
Right.
we were talking about maybe introducing you to other clients of ours that were doing really well. But I mean, I knew from the beginning that you were going to be successful because you needed those at-bats and you were patient enough to, keep going, and then eventually something would fall through. So
I just can't say how much of this was, it was an eye-opener. It was because it was somebody that we would have never been in front of. They would never knew about us. And it's like, oh, there's something here. This is important. This is a way that we can reach out to those clients that they would have no idea about us. So
Yeah. I mean, that's the number one thing, is it's like, people probably don't know who you are until you make a phone call. And I've said it a million times to other prospective clients. I'm like, no one's going to go, oh, thank God you called. It just doesn't work that way usually. Maybe
Sometimes you
maybe
get very
there's
lucky,
one out there,
but
but in going off of like that first deal that you guys got, if I remember correctly, it wasn't just like you went in and a week later it was a client. You were working that for a couple months together, were you not?
It was a couple months. It was one of those ones where we did call at the right time. That was the big one that we got.
Yeah.
That first one was big, which was incredible. But I had called the right person at the right time. I'd been trying to reach out to them. I couldn't get them. Finally got them. Timing was perfect. They had an issue with their current MSP, so it moved fairly fast. But there were a lot of pieces moving. There were multiple people involved in the decision, and you guys went out there and absolutely just blew them away. And they invited you guys out to go out on site on every location.
Yeah,
and I mean it moved fairly quick, but yeah, that first deal was incredible, and it took 8 months of just going through, building the pipeline, setting up tons of meetings. And Jason was prepared. I think Jason was prepared for that meeting because of all the at-bats that he had over the past 8 months.
And that's what I was going to get into is like, so walk me through, like in your mind, like what do you think changed in that particular example? Because after that, I mean, it seems like you guys almost like dominoes. Every couple months, there's another one and another one and another one. So like, was there a change in your process or something? Like, where did it finally click for you with that?
So early on, it was a lot of just me. And I know, and I was actually on vacation when he called me about this deal we're talking about, because I was like, hey, I know you're on vacation, man, but this is a good one and it's hot. So let's, I'm like, dude, absolutely. I'll come back in the office. I grabbed the guys and we'll talk to Alan and then our account manager. I'm like, this is, knowing the company, knowing our market, it's a sizable opportunity. So we all three showed up, went down there, met and did our introductions. So the mindset shift for me was really, this isn't just Jason, this is a team. They can't just see me. They need to see a support system, because when I go away, everybody else is going to take care of them. I'm not answering the help desk calls, right? At the end of the day, if you talk to me, normally it's either really bad or really good, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of getting there to that point. And I want to maintain relationships, core value, and relationship focused is who we are. But that kind of bringing the team together and then, having all of us interact to both sides, I think that added a little bit of capacity and depth to the equation that we hadn't had before, when it was just, I carry a decent amount of weight with my pedigree, corporate experience, all the things, right? That resume. But in reality, if you think about that, that's all a bunch of nerd knobs nobody cares about from a business perspective.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's cool because I'm a geek, but if I'm sitting across from a VP or a CEO, C-suite, they want to see, they don't care about that. They care about how they're going to be taken care of and how their people are going to be taken care of. And so when we brought in a few of us on that first, because of the capacity of the deal, right? It was a 90 user, 5 location, healthy opportunity. I think we impressed them. We had some leave behind, some good. That's another thing, like paperwork. And I worked on design and leave behinds and sales pamphlets and different things as well, which was really good because that collateral stayed behind. Our branding is there. So we started learning some of these things, and then follow-ups. Like we've now matured past that, in the domino thing, like you're saying, where when we have a thing, and I'm working on more automation, with Myles on some of this stuff too, to make mechanisms for this, because it's what we do as geeks. We try to automate all we can. But really, it's when I go and have a meet, if it's a positive meet and I leave, my account manager immediately turns around. I hand him all the information. My office admin puts them on a newsletter list. So they get on a mailer on a monthly, and we do just a general tech tip kind of newsletter deal that we brand for ourselves. And then the account manager drops off. We've got a couple of different vendors back home that we use, but it's like sweet treats and stuff, like just for the office staff. So he shows a face. It's not me, somebody else. They see our office girl sending emails and different things about, here's our PDF pamphlets of different rack card, kind of things I talked about, right, for service options and things. So it's multifaceted, right? And I think that's anything with sales. It's like touch points, and it's not just Jason. It's an office admin. It's an Alan. It's all these people, and they see a team working together before they're even a customer, coming together to solve the initial issue, which is, can you supply for my overall service requirement?
Right.
And then now, you flip forward to where we actually onboard and we win a proposal, then that whole team and then some comes in, because now we've got the technical team behind that. So our back office staff is stronger, right? And then now that front of house, from what their perspective is, where they're making those phone calls, they're, ramped up and ready. We have onboarding, and we're continuing to hire. We've hired a lot this year, but as we grow, building out a team is the biggest thing, and understanding the process of it and refining and adding some of that sales collateral pieces to it as well is kind of what we've done.
And what you guys have been doing is clearly working for
Yeah, I was going to say, and it doesn't end with digital ink on digital paper. It's after that. That's just the start, and then from there, it's we roll into the getting the other faces in front of them, the onboarding people, and hey, here's our COI for our insurance. Here's our W-9. We're asking them who can sign or approve purchase orders. Who can who gets to see purchase orders. Those things that they look at it and say, oh, this is legit. This is big. This is not just fly by night. This is not just Jason's going to call me. Jason's going to fix my PC. Jason's going to answer the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a team behind you. Cause I mean, at the end of the day, especially the larger opportunities, people want a team. Cause it's like, what if you're sick? You get hit by a bus. Like somebody has to be there to take care of them, especially if they're going to pay a lot of money for it. So going through that, like, what is your process now? How long does it take you to get proposals out? How do you do it? Do you do paper, electronics, something completely different? I'm not a tech guy myself. Maybe there's AI involved, but what is your process from start to finish? Myles gets an appointment, and then what?
Yeah, so it starts with a pop on my calendar, and usually we'll touch base, right? I mean, I get some context and color. I don't dig much on the back end of recordings and things like that for notes. I can call the guy, right? And he's available. I love that. Totally an extension of who we are, just like we serve as an extension to our clients on the tech side. But yeah, we do the meet. The outcome is either positive or neutral or negative, right? It can kind of be that. I mean, we've ran into places I'm like, that's not a fit, dude. Let's stop chasing it. But more often than not, it's something that we're going to engage and nurture, or we got a boy, like we're going to do something with it. So we get back, and Alan's a numbers man, and he's got some wizard spreadsheets that he works up backing sheets for quotations and things. I've gotten to where I'm starting to use AI note takers on things, which kind of help because I can be more engaged in conversation, not sitting there scribbling notes.
It's helpful for me too.
Oh yeah,
and I can just open those notes up, see how the meeting went, and I know I have context for when I follow up. I know pretty much the exact conversation that you guys had. So it's
is that something that
me.
you guys are sharing with each other?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how you get the updates on the meetings.
Yeah. I mean, I still talk to Jason over the phone. So post appointment, he'll usually call me. Hey, great meeting. Did you see the notes? Yeah. I'm actually reading through them right now. So I get more context, but he kind of goes over kind of the cliff notes. Hey, this is what happened. This is the users. This is the situation. This is like our next step. So that's been really helpful.
So we come back, take the notes, back office like admin, and then like Alan, we'll work on quotation and numbers, and we'll have a couple of different options for services typically. And we spin that around fairly quick. My goal is to have that around the next day at the latest. If I can get by end of day, that's the best. But if I can get it next day, and that's a process. Like we had to work on that. I told you that yesterday. Like our proposal process was not great to start with, and then we refined it. Right?
It got better fast though.
Yeah, we had to be very predictable, and systematize everything to a point where it's like it needs to fit in a box. And I know we do, tailored services, right? But at the end of the day, we got to have SKUs. We got to pull from this and do these things. And so we developed all that, and Alan did a really great job to set us up for success there. So the turnaround on that being that quick shows responsiveness. And if you're responsive, if you are terrible at responsiveness before you're a customer, what's it going to be like after, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to execute great on the front end.
If you can't get me a quote in like a day, like it takes you weeks, what's going to happen when I have a help ticket? Like, is it going to be fixed today, next week, next month? Never. So you're right. That's going to at least set the table, because subconsciously they're like, this is the type of service I'm going to get. And I tell people all the time that are prospective customers, like, you have to give proposals. Like the faster, the better.
Yep. Yeah. Like, because you're not, I can't imagine a situation where I'm the only one in the room ever. I'm one of many. How do I become one of one? Yeah. I give an experience. Yeah. And I've got to give them an experience that I become one of one to make that decision to choose me. Because we are not going to be the cheapest, and that's okay. That's another thing this guy's helped me with too, is as far as like our pricing and stand on things and doing different stuff as we pitch and work through this. But the responsiveness is key. The system is key. We pitch the proposals. We also fill them with, our email usually goes out with like the backing documentation and sales stuff that we have that I speak to, which is our service rack card and options, and these are base plans and add-ons, and then this is our company pedigree and kind of history and our story a little bit, and then this is some of the services that are on there. I mean, it's like Greek, so this is a card that explains what that means to you in your terminology, right? So we have several pieces of collateral we've designed and built that we send out digitally. I'll leave it behind too. I can't give enough. Like if I leave copies on the table, they can end up in the trash or moved along or whatever, so they get digital copies of all that stuff too. And our office girl, phenomenal, she sends this stuff out, and at that point Then it gets the volley, comes back to Myles. And I say, hey, dude, proposals are out. You see the thing, the numbers are there. And now he holds the ball. And so he's waiting on a follow-up typically within the next few days just to kind of pulse and check. And then sometimes, Myles, they won't respond, right? They won't. And then like he'll ping me and say, hey, dude, maybe I connected because it was a geek to geek thing. And like he's my, I have a connection there. He's like, hey, can you hit them up and see? But this is absolutely where he and I work together on these things.
Yeah.
Because we have conversations about like, oh, that was a great conversation. Me and that dude, I walked into a meet that he had a guy graduated a year behind me in high school, and we lived in the area, so we had these other connections on stuff. And it's like, I will reach out to that guy. He'll probably answer, like the guy that goes to church with me that you've been trying to hit up, right? And it's like, he's not really responding much. Well, I shoot him a text. He shoots me a text right back.
Yeah.
So we've got to work together on this. I cannot, again, abdicate all of that responsibility to Myles and say, here, go grow my business. Like, he's a key part of it, but we absolutely have to fulfill our side of it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be the one that sells it. Ultimately, it's your company. You're going to be able to make recommendations and, basically provide solutions that, necessarily guys like Myles and I can't. We're not IT guys, but that's why it works well together. So when you follow up, like after the proposal goes out, what's your goal? Is it to...
My goal is to get a next step. So whether that is, hey, what questions do you have? What is the next step? Would you like to move forward? What do we need to do? And I'm working with Jason to figure that out. Like, do we need to go back out on site? Do we need to do a proposal review? Like, what do we need to do? So we're working together to figure that out. So when I do those follow-ups, I know what that next step is, and I know how we need to push the deal along.
How many meetings do you usually think on average it takes for the clients that you've set up? Is it like 1, close, 2?
I'd say like around 2, right? Most of the time,
3.
I would say, because it's usually, if it's a Teams call, it's, that's kind of the FTA is a Teams call. We go out on site, and then maybe a third meeting to kind of review things.
Like
so,
2 in-persons is...
Yeah, I'd say so.
I like the in-persons. And the thing, too, is like to get a better feel. Because, when I come in and I'm looking around, I'm like, where's your closet? Let's take a look at this stuff, right? You mind if I take pictures? And then
I showed you ours yesterday.
Exactly. But yeah, it gives you more context and it gives you a connection. I love in-person because I can create more of a connection in person. There's been so many times, too, where, he's the megaphone. He's out beating the streets. And then we get on a Teams call and, it's like, hey, you got to credit Myles for getting this set up because I have no need for you right now, right? And this is, and props to this guy. But when we're done, they're like, man, you are different, right? Because we get to tell our story about near 60 years of Fortune 100 and all of the things we've been blessed with through the time we've had our business. And, we tell a pretty compelling story that they're like, oh, okay, you are different. There's not a lot of MSPs in our market or that I know of really that have kind of our history coming from where we come from. So it makes us a little unique, and then that's the connection that we follow up with. I had a conversation with one from last year that we had talked to. It was an accounting place, have a couple locations, fairly decent size, I think 50-some remote, probably 120 total, between 2 offices or whatever. And he's holding down the tech stuff. We had a great conversation last year. He was going through some compliance stuff, and we circled back this year. And he's like, okay, well, we're outsourced MSP, and it's that whole event, right, of things that change. And so he's like, we were pretty happy back then, not so happy now. Things are kind of trending down. Not ready to make a change yet because my leadership's, but again, lead for life. We just continue to talk. I gave him a nugget. I'm like, hey, if you're not doing this internally with your IT, this is something that'll save some steps, bud. Like, go take this thing and do some research. He's like, oh, wow, cool. Take that down. He'll remember me for that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the stuff I like to connect with, whether it's over Teams, but even in person when I go look at stuff and I can be like, man, you take this wire from here, move to here, make your life better, whatever, right? Because I have that technical background for that stuff, and when I can connect with those people, it's great. But then just generally with leadership and things, they like to see an owner, there as a part of it, because I think that often our competitors are throwing salespeople out in front of them, and that's good. You got to have a process. I won't be in this boat forever, but you guys do a great job getting us out there in front of those folks.
Yeah. No, we've been super happy to I personally have been super happy to use you as a case study. I love seeing every time there's another deal video and I point to your video, and I'm excited for people to see this one and the one that you filmed a little earlier today. But how much, let's get into the fun stuff. How many new clients? How much have you made? How much are you on pace to make? And how much time has it taken? Give the quick stats. I think Alan's the stats guy, right?
Yeah. So we've closed 450K, north of 450K in business between projects and MRR since we signed our first client in November of last year. And we have ink on paper that we will have 50K MRR directly due to Arsenal by 12/1 this year. So,
Wow.
So under 2 years.
Well, why don't you give yourself a little pat on the back there? Huh? There you go.
It's a team effort, though. It's a team effort.
Well, I mean, it's not even just you guys. Myles does a great job. He's got clients. He just closed another deal this morning. So
Well,
I mean,
it was. I got a verbal last week, but it was signed. I got
yeah.
it today. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Almost closed deals are
No,
nobody's
they don't
favorite.
count until it's ink on
Don't
paper.
count until it counts.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can tell you my first quick fun story that just this is where I learned it. Had a client that goes, it's a 99%. It's a done deal. I was going to get like $4,000 a month on the books, had commission coming. I started walking around the office bragging, and then I get a phone call. Yeah, we didn't get it. I go, what do you mean? What was all that 99% talk? And they're like, well, they didn't sign. I thought we had it. That's the last time I ever got excited about a verbal. And I don't see you getting excited
I
about
never
them
post
either.
anything until Jason or somebody tells me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it, and he sends it to me, ink on paper. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't post anything because it's bad juju.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to kind of hold that close to my vest as well because I don't want to, get Myles excited or anything. And it's kind of like we hold that internal and just wait. And sometimes it's like, man, I know we're just waiting on some dude to get back from a bike ride on a vacation or whatever, right? And it's like, then I get a signature, but I'm holding out and I'm going to wait.
Oh, yeah.
But then when it comes through, you're hitting us up for the paper and IU's really good at getting that stuff sent out. But yeah, it's not real until ink gets paper and then, the wheels start in motion for all the back, like he's saying, all the things we have, but it's all process. Everything it's all a part of that from beginning to end, from the very first phone call that he has all the way through to the signatures that we do. And then we begin, we're getting better at onboarding, all that stuff too. I tell this guy, it's like, we got to chew what's in our mouth. He hears that quite a bit because he's out setting appointments, doing stuff, and we're trying to ingest all these things. And, we got to make sure we don't break operations. We've got some pretty hockey stick style growth going on right now.
Yeah.
And it is hard. But we've got, 5 new capable people that we brought on board, and we're going to continue to build on that. So, yeah, really grateful.
I was just going to go back a little bit to revenue stuff. You were talking about last night, Jason, how some of those newer deals, the 3 recent deals that we got, you were kind of looking out to the future with project work.
Mm-hmm.
That number was pretty big.
Yeah. We're looking at strategically in our territory, it's really hard to find structured wiring subcontractors and things like that. It's like I tell people, I'm married to my client and they go out on a date, we sub them out for something and then they, don't necessarily execute to our standard. And then we've got to turn around and go polish things up and clean it up. It's never good. So we've been praying through it for a while, and we hung a shingle to hire what we call a tent pole to build out a new division of the business this quarter. And we talked about Brad and some other coaching type changes and different transformations we made in our business with EOS and frameworks and working on, not in. So this is one of those strategies. So this quarter we're looking to launch a cabling division, structured wire, camera systems and door controls, things like that. And the new clients, everyone you talk to, and my CTO is this way at corporate, I want one throat to choke, right? You need a multi-vendor strategy for things because you need diversification for competitive, that advantage.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of efficiency working with a dude that knows your stuff,
Yeah.
top to bottom, left to right. And so we hear all the time, like, will you do this? And we've had to sub it for years and it's been painful. So we are launching this, and we've got these new 3, we got a church and a couple others back home that have kind of come in, all 3 of them from you guys, but they've got these, outlying opportunities in the future that I was telling Myles, I look at it like a God thing, lining this out to land this tent pole, because there is a very good potential of $400,000 of revenue because these are not small change projects.
Yeah.
And they're big projects, and this stuff is expensive, and so these 3 clients all have a need, in that. And I was like, man, looking out into the future crystal ball as we grow this, there's no better opportunity than now to go plant that tent pole and do it, because we've got needs sitting here that if we can get our ducks in a row and go execute, we can potentially capture, $300,000-$400,000. It'll be in phases. It's a big capital buy for small businesses, but if I'm forecasting, I was telling Alan, like, if we launch this thing in the first year, I wouldn't think $500,000 is hard at all to achieve, for growing that side of the business. And because we've got 40 other customers on our current contract that they have those needs too. We haven't even told them we do this yet.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of potential in that. It also gives him another lever to get in the door.
Yeah.
Right.
And then as we, and we got to be careful about, depth and breadth right, and how we manage that. But we really, we're strategic about it, and I believe we're ready for it to step into this new industry, this new vertical, right, and start tackling this. Brad, he's been championing us for this for 2 years. Like, you guys need to do this thing, and so we're looking forward to it. But there's a whole nother part of the business there that I think can open up with it. And Alan's been running the papers and trying to figure stuff out. He's on the hiring and HR side of all that, so he's been out hunting for people too.
So, Alan, I got a question for you. For anybody watching this video that's a prospective MSP or IT company that's looking to sign up possibly with Arsenal, that was doing, say, like right around $1 million or less, 'cause I think you guys were right about there when you started with us, what would you say to them? Like, what would your advice be to someone that might be thinking about signing up but hasn't yet?
I was in our earlier interview, we were talking about it, and it was just one of those things. It's like, it was, looking back. We're looking back, and it's like, fantastic, do it again. Can I do it twice?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a big deal when we signed off on it, when we decided to invest that money into Arsenal to start getting those appointments for us. But it was immediately, I wouldn't say fruitful. It was immediately apparent that this was something that we did not have. It's about investing in your business. It's about putting your dollars to work for you. If we could, like I said, if I could do it twice, I would.
Yeah.
Can I spend that much more money and get that much more return on it? It's been fantastic, and it's helped us grow our business. And I don't know where we'd be without this kind of without the support we get from Arsenal.
Well, we really appreciate that. What were you gonna say?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, just to add to that from like my perspective, as someone, as a prospect who might be signing up for a service, just looking at the relationship that we've had, the things that you guys have both done in the partnership over time is why you guys have been successful. Being patient, realizing that it does take time. Like, we have clients who will, out of the gate, like you said, Red Roads, will close deals right away within the first couple months, and it happens. But sometimes it takes 8 months. So just staying consistent, not getting down. I know there was some doubts, but we talked through that, and that was why you guys were successful. You stuck through it, always communicating, just being confident that it will work out. And of course it did, and just continuing to do that. I would say that is, if I'm speaking to a prospect, just know that that's what it takes to be successful with us.
I say a lot. There's never been a client here that's gone on 30 plus meetings in a year, gave everybody an agreement, and never came away with at least one of them.
Exactly.
It's the people that don't have a process, don't give contracts. I won't name names, but there are people that, we've had to coach. Like, no, you can't give a price in a PowerPoint presentation. They have to have something they can sign.
And that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
That's what Jason did. IU was always getting the contracts out 1 or 2 days later, usually within 24 hours. They had something to sign. I had a reason to follow up.
Yeah.
And we followed that every single appointment.
Yeah.
And that's why we closed business.
And it sounds like it's worked really well. So,
one of the things they were saying is intentionality. That is so much what that's been great for us. And we did an exercise. I don't know if you remember, Jason, a long time ago. We had the whiteboard up there, and we wrote down all of our clients, and we kind of put them in categories. It's like, okay, this one came in from a referral.
Yeah.
This one came in from a referral.
Yeah.
This one came in from, and there were so many people in this area that were just only because of who we knew.
Yeah.
And there was this whole side of the whiteboard that was the people that we don't know and that don't know us. It's like, how do we get there? And now that was probably 2-3 years before we signed up with Arsenal, but we knew that back then. There's this 2/3 of the whiteboard that we couldn't fill out. Because we were just operating within our own little sphere of influence.
Yeah, I mean, the sales pipelines consist of 3 different things. All my years of doing this at multiple companies, it's like you will always have referrals. Your word of mouth business will never go away because you do a good job. People will talk about you. Usually the best leads, and they're the easiest to get. And then you have your inbound leads. If you do your advertising, you have your digital marketing and other things going. People find you when they're in the market. Obviously, that's great. But there's just so much unpredictability from it. And the last piece is the outbound. And I think that shies people away because who wants to make hundreds of sales calls and cold calls?
I
Except
do.
maybe him.
Not
know,
this guy.
And that's the thing is like there are people that don't know you exist where you will get a customer and it will come simply from making one cold call. It might take time. I think we have another client that just got a deal for around $4,000 a month. We called 5 years ago for the first time and have worked that process that length of time. And some will take that long, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad it's worked well for you guys. I guess, is there any last things that you would want to talk about or go over, like from a process standpoint or what you're doing? Because I'll be honest, I'm going to use this video and tell people to go watch it so that they can sign up with us, because I know people love hearing your story, and I think we've got that a bunch in the last 24 hours, and I love it. And I can't wait to get the next one, maybe another year from now. But what else would you add to it, if anything?
I mean, talking to Matt earlier, he was, talking about, referring you guys, and really, I'm empathetic to other operators. A lot of MSPs launch because they're super geeks. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the E-Myth book, right? E-Myth Revisited, right? And it's this ultimate technician that can solve all these problems, and he goes and starts this business, but he has no idea how to business.
Mm-hmm.
So operationally, like, we're super geeks. We can fix any problem. I was that way at corporate. I was an architect. We designed data centers, and we supported a multi-billion-dollar company. But you go out and launch a small business, it's a different world. There's a whole other part of it. And you carry these burdens. And I mean, we did for a long time. We literally, the most piercing moment that we had, Alan sits with me in the conference room and he's like, Jason, would you have ever been a help desk guy at corporate? And I'm like, no, actually, I passed over that job. I was a sysadmin, and then I grew into an architect. He's like, we've started a help desk, and you're a help desk guy right now. I'm like, well, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. And really, it was that moment where you're like, okay, we're going to figure this out. We've made jobs. We got to build a business. To build a business, we got to have all functions. And so we very intentionally started to approach things differently. And we really, I was telling Logan last night, it's like, this MSP is our baby. And I almost suffocated it because I held it so tight, because you guys called on us and we weren't able to let go and trust. And I know there's other owners out there that feel this way. They're taxed, they're pressured, they're out there running and gunning, doing everything they can. We were there. We were 100% there, and we were doing everything we do to survive. And until you unlock the growth side of the business to turn it from a job to truly a business that can serve something much larger than you, that's hard, and it's a decision internally you got to make. And that was something when we decided to partner with you guys, we made that decision. And Myles had to, court me for like 30 days probably. And Sam, you're familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
And Alan was working on the agreement on the back end, and I was talking to Myles about, all right, this is my brand, this is my baby, this is our mission, this is our core, this is us, right? And then I was watching and listening or doing the stuff for the first few months on the calls and things. But, those owners that are out there that are contemplating, you got to do something. Strategically, this was the wisest investment we could make, and it truly is an investment. But when we stepped back and said, what are we good at? What are the things that you do that only you can do? I'm very good at technology. I am not great at the sales generation and all of the touch points and igniting, that workflow that you guys have that come that way. That's the solve. That's you guys. And so strategically, it was a great partnership, and it paid off after a while. Took a while, but again, like I say, it wasn't you guys being the issue. If it was a problem, it was going to be us, and we would have had to put somebody else in my chair because it was an RPRS equation at that point. And eventually I figured it out. Like, we've gotten some good success. But just speaking to the owners, man, that are out there and they're grinding. And I mean, we did it for a long time, and we're not there yet. We're growing and we're getting, but we've lifted our eyes, right? And we're starting to see, see more of what's out there and what we can do. But strategically, it was one of the best decisions we've made as a business. And there's milestones. I talk about like Exodus and Joshua and all the biblical things. It's like the milestone moments and stacking stones of remembrance. It's like, we've had hires of key people, and you guys are a piece of that journey for us. I mean, we're a Christian company. So like Arsenal is a stone of remembrance for us when we reflect back on the journey of this business and what we did to shift our mindset and trust that this, it's either, like Don Tyson would say, expand or expire. That was what he would tell us. Mm-hmm. So we've got to grow, get busy living or get busy dying, right? So we decided to make this move, and, it took an investment, it took trust, it took time, and it took faith, but we made it. And there's owners out there that I know are buckling under some pressure, and it's hard. But for this side of it, from a guy who's been through that and now sees the other side, man, come on board, make it happen. Because, it's definitely, you guys are great at what you do. And, you know, we do espouse that pretty regularly. We talk about you guys a lot. So, because it's a monumental shift for the business. And it's, you know, a lot of why we're here and what we're doing, that investment turned into revenue, that turned into other investments, that turned into growth and more growth, to a point where, you know, now we're launching a new division and we're hiring 5 people this year, looking to hire 2 more probably by the end of the year. And then, you know, we're on this trajectory that I've got to worry about chewing what's in my mouth before this guy sends more at us, right? But it's good. We're really blessed.
Well, we really appreciate it. I know Myles is going to want more commission, so make sure you guys keep the business rolling in. I mean, I think that's all we got. I mean, thank you so much for coming up here and doing all the videos you have in the last day. I mean,
absolutely,
we truly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Let me know when we're ready for more markets.
All right.
Let's go do it again.
Yeah,
let's do it times 2,
This
times 3, times 10.
He's like, oh, yeah, do it times 3. I'm like, nah, dude.
Yeah, come on, bring it on.
You'll break operations, buddy. So.